Currently, there is a clear narrative to push the idea that hip hop is dying. And honestly, the more I hear that conversation, the more I realize this has very little to do with the actual music. Because if rap is supposedly dead, why does every genre still sound like it? Why are pop stars still building albums around trap drums and R&B melodies? Why are global acts still borrowing hip hop aesthetics to market themselves? Why are labels pouring millions into artists inspired by Black music while simultaneously claiming Black artists themselves are quote unquote too risky to invest in? That contradiction is the real conversation, cousins. Because lately, there's been a very interesting shift happening in the industry. On one side, you have media publications, executive streamers, journalists, and even artists themselves pushing this narrative that hip hop and R&B are declining genres, that they are oversaturated, that they don't create stars anymore, that they are no longer worth the same level of investment. But on the other side, the entire music industry is still feeding off the culture. And that's what makes this conversation uncomfortable and disingenuous at times because we've seen this happen before where genres that once dominated mainstream music, like rock and roll music, was once the defining force in popular culture. Labels invested heavily into it, media centered it, award shows even revolved around it. Then, over time, the industry shifted its priorities. They fragmented the audience, reduced artist development, and the genre slowly lost its mainstream dominance. Now, look at the conversation surrounding hip hop, the most influential genre on earth, the engine behind internet culture, the soundtrack to sports, fashion, advertising, film, social media trends, language itself. Yet somehow the people who built the genre are increasingly being treated like they are no longer worth the investment. That should concern everybody. Because while labels and media outlets push narratives about rap being unsafe, oversaturated, or less profitable, they are simultaneously pouring resources into genres heavily inspired by hip hop and R&B. Let's talk K-pop for example. One of the biggest global musical movements in the world right now. But if we're being honest about the music itself, modern K-pop is deeply rooted in Black musical influence. I'm talking the drums, harmonies, the rap verses, the production style, even the choreography, fashion, and attitude. A lot of it is hip hop and R&B filtered through polished pop presentation. And to be clear, this is no hate to K-pop artists. Artists are supposed to be inspired by other cultures and styles. That's normal. But let's call a spade a spade. The issue is how the industry responds to the people who originated the blueprint versus the people who are repackaging it. Because somehow labels are willing to spend millions building global campaigns around artists inspired by Black music while simultaneously telling Black artists that their own genres are too difficult to market. That's where the conversation starts getting uncomfortable because at some point you have to ask, do you actually think the music is the problem? Or do you just prefer it when the face attached to it is different, is white, not Black? And one of the clearest examples of this disconnect came from an old interview with Billie Eilish that recently resurfaced online. In the clip, Billie openly credits JID and Isaiah Rashad as inspirations behind Bad Guy. Now, unlike a lot of artists, Billie has actually been transparent about hip hop's influence on her artistry. She's spoken openly about rap music, shaping her sound, her creativity, even her fashion choices. So I'm going to give her tens on that. But the bigger picture is still frustrating because while artists like JID and Isaiah Rashad continue fighting for broader mainstream visibility, someone can take inspiration from their styles, package it through pop infrastructure, and suddenly become Grammy winning global phenoms. Like, she has a whole Grammy from the song that she got influence from JID and Isaiah Rashad. I don't even think Isaiah Rashad has ever been nominated for a Grammy. Jid has been nominated for a Grammy, but he's never won. But to me, that's crazy to think about. And I know for an artist, that has to feel insane from the artist's perspective. Watching the industry celebrate echoes of your creativity while treating the original source as niche. And this cycle keeps repeating itself over and over again. Black artists create the wave, the industry hesitates to fully support them, someone adjacent to the culture repackages the sound, then suddenly the exact same aesthetic became innovative, it's fresh, and it's boundary pushing. Like, it's the same game every decade, and the industry has gotten very good at hiding it behind buzzwords. Even the charts themselves have changed in ways that quietly hurt Black artists over time. There was a period where Black artists consistently dominated major charts through direct fan support, physical sales, radio impact, and cultural momentum. I remember seeing a screenshot of an old Billboard chart placement. At one point, there were like 8 out of the top 10 were all Black artists, all urban R&B artists. But over time, rules changed, rules shifted. Playlisting became power, algorithms became gatekeepers, streaming calculations changed, bundle rules changed, radio weighting changed, genre classifications changed as well. Suddenly, visibility became less about the audience connection and more about corporate infrastructure. And when you control the infrastructure, you can control perception. That's how you can manufacture the illusion that the genre is quote unquote declining. Now you reduce the investment, you reduce media support, you limit playlist placement, you stop artist development, you push negative narratives in press cycles. Then eventually people start repeating the narrative themselves and they start believing that shit. And honestly, that may be the most damaging part of all. Watching people inside of hip hop internalize the industry's talking points about their own genre. You now have artists distancing themselves from rap as if it's something embarrassing to outgrow. You got artists like BigXThaPlug openly talking about not wanting to be boxed in as a rapper because of the success he's found making country music. And again, this isn't an attack on experimentation. Artists should evolve, but there's something deeper happening when artists feel like proximity to country, pop, or alternative music somehow elevates them above rap. That mentality doesn't happen by accident. You have Drake in interviews talking about rap this, rap that. Oh, I just want to be known as an artist, but also complaining when he doesn't get acknowledged for rap music. Even somehow, someone like Jack Harlow pivoting towards neo soul inspired sounds spark conversation about maturity and artistic growth in ways that almost frame traditional rap as creatively limiting. And he thinks it's cool because he kept it nigga adjacent and he didn't jump ship like his bro Post Malone, who became popular in this industry under the moniker White Iverson, cosplaying Allen Iverson, a cultural fucking icon, and now he's dissing hip hop and now he's being successful in country music. Like, what? Yes, Jack Harlow, you decided not to go the pop, the country route, but just because you kept it nigga adjacent doesn't make it better because you stuck with neo soul inspired music. That's not how this works. But like I was saying, notice the language people use around hip hop. Rap is treated like a phase, a stepping stone, something artists eventually graduate from. But if the genre is supposedly beneath everyone, why does everyone still depend on it? Why do every pop artist suddenly adopt rap aesthetics during album rollouts? Why do brands still use hip hop to market products? Why do award shows still rely on rap performances for relevance? Why does social media culture still move through hip hop first? The answer is simple. Hip hop is not dying, it's being extracted from. There's a difference. And if this continues unchecked, the long-term damage becomes bigger than music because eventually younger audience stop recognizing where the influence started. The innovators become invisible. The imitators become the face of the movement. And history gets rewritten in real time, and we can't have that. So, cousins, I ask y'all, what is the solution? What do we do? In my opinion, first, hip hop needs to stop begging institutions for validation. Awards do not define cultural impact. Even though it is nice to get those Grammys, to get acknowledged, get the charts placements and all of that, but hip hop did not start to feel the need to be in those spaces. Awards do not define cultural impact. Neither do think pieces written by people who barely respect the genre to begin with. Second, there has to be intentional reinvestment into Black artistry. And I'm calling out Sean Corey Carter. Y'all know that's my GOAT. But when I saw that he invested like $400 million, he invested back into K-pop. Why aren't you investing that into hip hop? The genre that made you the billionaire that you are today. I think that is pretty fucking ridiculous and embarrassing that we have a hip hop legend deciding to reinvest $400 some back into K-pop and not into hip hop. And then you get in an interview talking about, oh, you don't think a core element of hip hop is worthy of existing anymore. We have a serious problem. We need intentional reinvestment into Black artistry, not just viral moments, not just controversy, real artist development, tour support, creative freedom, ownership, media ecosystems that value artists beyond algorithm and clickbait. And third, audience need to become smarter about consumption. I'm talking about the music and I'm talking about the media personalities who sit behind their screens in their funky basements and push nothing but propaganda and negativity. It's time questions are asked. Who created the sound? Who profits from it? Who gets labeled dangerous for making it? Who gets praised as out groundbreaking for recycling the style? Because the answers reveal the entire system. And lastly, hip hop has to remember what it actually is. The genre survived political attacks, media demonization, government surveillance, censorship campaigns, corporate exploitation, moral panic. Hip hop survived all of that. And despite all of that, it still became the most influential cultural force on the planet. That does not sound like a dying genre to me. It sounds like a genre the world desperately wants access to without fully giving credit, protection, or investment back to the people who created it.
Hey cousin, who you chilling with?
I'm chilling with MONIE.